interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT. Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Looking to generate new clients or partners without ad spend, spamming, or cold calling, be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. It's a wonderful Thursday here. I'm broadcasting from snowy Wisconsin, and I got today's prophet is Gary Coben. He is the Senior Vice President at 𝐵𝒐𝒉𝒆𝒕𝒔 IP. He is the guy that is responsible for their channel there. Gary, please introduce yourself and say hi to the audience.
Thanks, Jim. Since you said you're in snowy Wisconsin, I have to tell you that I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of the future Super Bowl champion.
the future Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, there you go.
The Philadelphia, the Steelers.
No, not the Steelers.
The Eagles. I'm sorry.
There you go.
I'm so worried about Aaron Rodgers going to the Eagles. I can't even think about him.
Well, I thank you. We've had an opportunity to speak in the past, and I have, oddly enough, I've been with 𝗲𝒊 IP for 15 years now. And for those of you not familiar with 𝗲𝒊 IP, we are a pure play cloud provider. We do a lot of different things. From a collaboration and communications perspective, we are a Microsoft Teams voice shop. We are a Cisco WebEx voice shop. We have a contact center platform, and we also can enable remote contact centers, even if you're not using 𝗲𝒊 IP as the contact center provider. But I think probably where the bulk of our conversation will fall today is on virtual desktop. We've been a virtual desktop provider since 2009. Certainly, we think that 2023 is going to be the year of DES, and we believe that there are things inside of our industry and outside of our industry which are actually going to drive a huge uptick in people finally deploying virtual desktop as their primary desktop solution inside of their IT stack. So with that, let me stop for a minute, Jim. Hit me with a question.
Sure. I guess that's a very interesting comment. And I guess if I'm a IT service provider, how can I position myself to utilize this opportunity or to gain from this opportunity that you speak about?
Well, you know what? Let's set the stage for a minute. I can tell you, as I've been talking to our indirect sales channel and hence to the customers, the concept of, well, the pandemic may be over, but remote work is here to stay, while it's probably still very true, it's just nobody wants to talk about it anymore. And the reason they don't want to talk about it anymore is not because it's solved. It's because 2023 means that we're on the precipice of a global recession, right? And a global recession always means the same thing to an IT executive. It means I'm going to have a lower budget, I'm going to have reduced headcount, and I'm going to have resource constraints. All that being said, I'm going to be asked to do more with less, right? So I think that what's interesting about the stars aligning when it comes to virtual desktop is the fact that there are things that are happening inside the tech space, and there are things that are happening outside the tech space that are driving this. Inside the tech space, there isn't a day that goes by where we're not hearing about layoffs at Google and layoffs at Zoom and layoffs at Microsoft and layoffs at Salesforce, right? So that's the very first thing that happens in a recession,
Right.
is that companies lay people off to put themselves in a better financial situation. So today or yesterday, it was 10% of Zoom's work, 15% of Zoom's workforce. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing, however, is this whole concept of what they've been calling the global chip shortage is now predicted to last another year. So for all you people out there that are trying to still buy a new car, we know how that's impacted the price of a new car. And it's not like that means we all can't go to Best Buy and buy one PC, but try buying 300, 400, or 500 of them. You'll find that lead times are in the 12 to 18 month, right? And so I think the biggest challenge facing the IT community in light of a reduction in resources is, do I still have enough resources to procure, provision, secure, support, refresh, and of course, now the next thing is reclaim IT assets. And that last one is becoming considerably more important as people are going remote. Their PCs that companies have bought them seem to have been growing legs and arms and walking away. So, you know, when you start to think about this thing, that every time I have a new employee, somebody in my IT department is spending between 3 and 4 hours to provision a new PC, right? Now, in the virtual desktop world, that's measured in minutes, not in days and weeks, right? And so it's, you know, when you have an IT department that is resource constrained, right? Got challenges from a capital expense perspective, is continually looking to support a remote force, is concerned about security, doesn't want to continue to deploy a VPN for 80% of their workforce, all of a sudden virtual desktop becomes a really key and critical solution. So external to that, there are other things that are happening. I apologize, Jim, for going on. But external, or I should say internal to our space, is the fact that there are a lot of solutions that your viewers have been selling for years that aren't worth as much money today as they were a few short years ago. Essentially, the days of the $25 UCaaS voice seat are long gone and ain't never coming back. And of course, what's the biggest threat in all this? That someone like Microsoft decides,
Google,
decides to add $2 to an Office 365 license. So, you know, clearly we've seen the ramifications and implications between the exorbitant price pressures in the UCaaS space. So as that, you know, and I always tell all of my partners that, hey, stand up and take a bow. We made it. There's nobody looking to buy an Avaya versus buying UCaaS. They're all buying UCaaS. The difference is they're buying it at $5 and $6. So internally, companies that are sales partners and distributors and VARs and MSPs aren't making money doing the things that they used to do to be successful. So they're thinking outside of the box, right? Which is really about cybersecurity and the IT stack. Externally, it's this looming recession. And what does that mean? So we believe, and of course, so does a lot of other people like Gartner, believes that these two worlds are colliding. You've got a very difficult economic scenario, and you've got the commoditization of some of the existing businesses are all combining to make virtual desktop the solution of the year for 2023.
That's very interesting. So how, if I'm not already in virtual desktops or I don't have a solution, where do I start to find one?
You know,
What, do you have any tips on how I can,
do.
Determine what solution is best for my practice and for my clients?
So the very first thing, and I find this interesting, I've always said that IT people aren't made, they're born. When I think about some of the engineers that work for our company, right? I mean, when it comes to the tech, that's complicated. But the very first thing that has to happen is you cannot be afraid to be able to engage in a business conversation about how somebody's managing their users. I mean, when you think about it, it's only common sense. Every company has employees. Those employees all have PCs. Those PCs are all typically attached to the internet and to internal business servers running. There's only two types of applications, right? There's Salesforce that you get to from the internet. And then there's your company's G drive and H drive that you connect to over a VPN to their server. I think the best question that everybody should be prepared to ask their customer is, do you still have the resources to provision, first procure, gotta go find it and buy it. Then you gotta provision it, right? When you're provisioning it, you gotta be concerned about security, right? After you secure it, you got to ship it out to the end user and be prepared to manage and maintain it, right? These assets don't last forever. So somewhere in your business plan, you got to think, is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 7 years? I have to refresh that. And then, of course, the last thing is when people leave the company, what am I doing to ensure that that asset makes its way back to us? That's the primary question, I think. I think you will find that most CIOs and CTOs would tell you that corporate-owned PCs connected to VPNs are probably not the long-term solution that they want.
Uh-huh.
I got to add one more
worried
thing.
about security too.
Exactly. And I got to add one more thing to this. I'm sort of blessed at 61 to have a 31-year-old daughter that happens to work for Evolve IP. So there's a real big generational difference between me and my daughter, Lauren, who runs a big part of our support organization. Now, in my generation, right, my expectation is that when my PC dies, my expectation is Evolve IP is going to buy me another PC. In my daughter's generation, she never wanted a PC
to begin with. She wants her iBook and just to use that.
She 100%. She has her MacBook, and all she wants is access to her desktop. Right. So we're already halfway there. Companies want to go to that BYOD, that bring your own device. They want to go there. They've never had the path to do it, right? Because, when an IT guy says, let's see, it's going to be $50 a month. In 18 months, I can buy a PC. Normally that answer would have been yes, except for the big problem now. Even if you wanted to make that comparison, you can't get it. I had my car in for service this last Friday, And I decided, while my car was in for service, I would go walk through the lot and look at the new cars because that's what we do. And there was like 3 cars in the lot.
Yeah.
They didn't have any inventory. And why didn't they have any inventory? Because of the chip shortage. So I think that's, I think very first thing is, don't be afraid to engage in a conversation about IT. You don't have to be an engineer to do it. It's very simple, right? And if I'm sure, Jim, you can somehow let your viewers know how to reach me. I'm happy to walk you through it. I'm not an IT guy, but I'm not afraid to have the conversation. And it opens up a lot of doors because these problems are here, and CIOs and CTOs are living with this stuff every day. Right.
Yep. I'll include your contact information in the show notes. So
outstanding. And
what
else
so are you guys 100% channel focused then? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about, not being a household name, if you're Microsoft, people go to your website, they buy stuff from you on your website. It's, at Evolve IP, we do 97% of our business, via the channel, and it's a very, very mature part of our business. And I expect that it will continue for some time.
Got it. So what's your prediction on the Super Bowl then? It sounds like that's before we wrap up here, it sounds like the Super Bowl is top of mind. And
listen, I don't want to say too much here. We're talking about 2 great teams and a big showdown. I am not going to disappoint anybody that that doesn't think we Philadelphians aren't passionate about our sports. Of course, we think the Eagles are going to win.
So what's going to be the end score?
That I can't. We got to wait for Terry Bradshaw to protect the score. I'm not good with that. My expectation, it's going to be a close and competitive game. I just at the end, I'm very hopeful that
you think the Birds are going to kick a field goal at the end to win it.
Well, I hope it doesn't come to the end because, again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm 61. I got a lot less runway in front of me than I got behind me. So if I have to go through that for a full game, I don't know how healthy I'll be.
Well, I hope it's a exciting game. Looking forward to watching it on Sunday.
Same here. Jim, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a good chat.
It's been nice chatting with you. And until next time on the Profits of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Profits of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.